August 31st, 1997. A car speeds through a Paris tunnel. Camera flashes explode in the dark. And inside that car sits the most photographed woman on Earth. Hours later, televisions across the UK and the United States interrupt regular programming. Princess Diana is dead. Crowds gather outside Buckingham Palace. Flowers pile up like waves of grief. Grown adults cry in public. Why? Why did the death of one woman shake the world? This is not just the story of a princess. It is the story of a shy young woman who walked into a palace and discovered it was not a fairy tale. And what happened behind those palace walls still raises questions today. Before the crown, before the cameras, before the world knew her name, she was just a shy young woman who loved children and dreamed of a quiet life. But one meeting would pull her into the most famous royal family on Earth, and once she stepped inside that world, there was no turning back. Before she was Diana, Princess of Wales, she was Diana Spencer. Born in 1961 into British nobility, but not royalty. She loved children. She worked as a kindergarten assistant. She was known for being soft-spoken and kind. Then she met the heir to the throne, Charles III. She was 19, he was 32. The world saw romance. The media saw a future queen. In 1981, their wedding was watched by over 700 million people worldwide, a real-life fairy tale. But here's what the cameras did not show: doubt, pressure, loneliness, and one quiet truth that would follow her for years. She once said she felt like a lamb to the slaughter. What happens when the most watched marriage in the world begins to crack? From the outside, their marriage looked like a fairy tale. A beautiful princess, a future king, a palace life most people could only imagine. But behind palace doors, the story was very different. From the outside, it was perfect. Inside, it was complicated. There were rumors, there was emotional distance. There was another woman who never really disappeared from Charles's life. Camilla Parker Bowles. Diana later admitted she felt isolated inside the royal system. She struggled with mental health. She battled bulimia. She felt unheard. Imagine being surrounded by luxury, but feeling completely alone. And while her marriage quietly fractured, something unexpected happened. The public began to love her more than the institution itself. That love changed everything. Something unexpected began happening. The shy princess who once struggled inside the palace was becoming the most loved woman in the world, not because of her title, but because of how she treated people. Diana broke royal rules. She hugged AIDS patients when others were afraid to touch them. She shook hands without gloves. She knelt to speak to children at eye level. She visited landmine victims and walked through dangerous zones to raise awareness. At a time when the monarchy felt distant and formal, Diana felt human, real, emotional. The press called her the people's princess. But admiration from the public created tension inside the palace, because when one royal shines too brightly, others stand in shadow. The more the public adored her, the more complicated her life became, and soon the fairy tale officially collapsed. For years, Diana lived under royal expectations. Now, for the first time, she was free. Free from the marriage, free from the palace rules, but freedom came with a different kind of pressure. In 1996, the divorce became official. No longer Her Royal Highness, but still Diana, Princess of Wales. For the first time in years, she appeared freer. She chose her causes. She chose her schedule. She began redefining herself. But freedom came with a cost. The media pressure intensified. Every relationship became headline news. Every vacation became a chase. And in the summer of 1997, she began seeing Dodi Fayed. Photographers followed them relentlessly. One last summer of flashing cameras. One last season of speculation. No one knew it would be the final chapter. It was supposed to be just another night in Paris. Another evening followed by photographers. Another headline waiting to happen. No one knew that within minutes, history would change forever. Paris, August 30th, 1997. A black Mercedes leaves the Ritz Hotel just after midnight. Paparazzi follow on motorcycles. The car enters the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. Seconds later, impact. The driver dies at the scene. Dodi Fayed dies. Diana is still alive when emergency teams arrive, but hours later she is pronounced dead. She was 36 years old. But here's the part that still unsettles people. Was it just a tragic accident, or something more? Investigations concluded it was a high-speed crash influenced by reckless pursuit and driver error, but public suspicion never fully disappeared. Because when someone so beloved dies suddenly, grief searches for answers. When someone famous dies, the world mourns. But when Princess Diana died, the world stopped. Millions cried for someone they had never met, and the reaction revealed something powerful. The reaction was historic. An estimated 2.5 billion people watched her funeral. Elton John performed Candle in the Wind, rewritten in her honor. Even the royal family faced criticism for appearing emotionally distant in the early days after her death. The pressure forced change. The monarchy slowly modernized its public image, and Diana's humanitarian work continues through her sons, Prince William, Prince Harry. But here is the deeper truth. Diana redefined what royalty could look like. Not untouchable, not perfect, but compassionate, human, vulnerable. Closing reflection. Princess Diana was not just a royal figure. She was a mirror reflecting how power handles emotion, how institutions handle individuality, and how the public can love someone so deeply that even decades later, her name still carries weight. The palace had tradition, she had connection, and in the end, connection outlived the crown.